Live.
Good morning.
Morning. Good afternoon. Good evening to you, Chris.
Yes.
Um, while we are waiting for folks to filter in, both on this side of the table and the other side of the table, it's a short agenda for today. Chris? Do you mind giving us some highlights from Breakpoint, like a quick rundown of what you thought might be valuable for mobile builders to know?
Well, my brain's still buzzing. Helium House was amazing. Um, and we heard, though I actually missed the announcement because I was so busy partying on the other side, was that Mexico is not Mexico. Brazil is next. And we have 40,000 hotspots lined up, ready to go. And testing already, Mario tells us. So that seems exciting. Aside from that, we
Mm-hmm.
didn't have any Helium Wi-Fi at the venue. Unfortunately, it was who had it? Was it BitMEX? One of the exchanges took the sponsorship for the venue Wi-Fi, and we had no Helium Wi-Fi. I was very sad, but what
Hmm.
can you do?
Probably was pretty
What can you do?
expensive.
Nobody's perfect.
Right. But it was the best side event of all Breakpoint, supposedly.
It
And I even
it
got to
looked.
speak.
Yeah. What was your? Oh, you were talking about building, right? Or
No,
your history.
I was talking about my long history with helium and how I've come such a long way, and it's the future is exciting. Things like that.
The future is exciting.
Absolutely. Oh, there we are.
Um. All right. Hey, what reindeer game do reindeer play at sleepovers? Truth or deer? All right, that's enough of that. Um, all right. Yeah, let's Keith needs a link. Keith can use the same link as last time. Um, let's get rolling. I don't think this is going to be a super long meeting. I can't imagine that we're going to have many updates here on, the hips and things like that. But let's run through it. First, reminder for everybody, no meeting next week or the week after. It's Christmas and New Year's Day, respectively. So our next meeting will be January 8th at our normal time, normal place. So everybody have a nice holiday break. Um, that's really the only reminder I have. HRP 2026-01, the link for that is in the chat on Twitter. Mad Ninja, I didn't see anything in that yet. Are you anticipating anything in it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
We were considering looking at removing CDRs, um, but I'm not sure that's going to make it in that time frame. We still feel like we have to collect more data on um, demand sampling and see how that impacts like the locations. I know it's annoying. Very annoying for us to use support wise and get a ton of CDR issues for proving a hotspot location, but it's still the only thing we have going right now that actually gives the carrier some confidence that the hotspot is where it says it is. We're still working through that.
So,
I don't expect
okay.
that to happen in that HRP.
Gotcha. So actually, I think I don't know the answer to this. If we will have a vote for show, a perfunctory vote, or not, or if there will be no vote. Um, if Hashcode's listening, maybe he can chime in the chat. But either way, it's not that big of a deal if there's nothing in the HRP. Okay. Anybody have any questions on HRP before we move on? right. Next up was the continued discussion, but really quickly, I saw Joey put this in the chat. Demand sampling is live and live on Helium World now. It was live previously, but now you can view that on Helium World. So in case you have missed the announcement of that, I wanted to be sure everybody was aware. So go check out your locations on Helium World and look at the new data available, both to us and to the carriers. All right, continued discussion on UBI rewards / POC reallocation, all that stuff. Keith is not up here, so I can't give him a hard time about his HIP, whether or not it is drafted. So Farabee, any updates on your end? You were out last week, so I'm not necessarily expecting any, but I'm still asking the question.
Yeah, it's like Keith's fireside chat. You have is my audio gone, or is that just you muted?
That was just me.
Oh, great. Oh, there he is. Hi, Keith. So we can get back to that in a second. So anyway, I had a few conversations at Breakpoint about this too, and I think we're just evolving our ideas of how to allocate our tokens. Right now, it looks like our data transfer is doing so well that we don't even have any tokens left over for POC at the moment. And market conditions continue to be challenging. But that's, of course, only a temporary problem. So we'll see how that goes. And there's been a lot of discussion, too, about what about IoT and the IoT POC tokens that are being used for something that may or may not be useful. And I did speak to a couple people who are actually active in IoT. And I said, I asked them how they felt about the IoT POC rewards. And honestly, they aren't really very substantial anyway. I have a few, and I get like maybe $1 a month or so POC per IoT hotspot. So it doesn't really move the needle. And the data rewards aren't ever going to move the needle at this rate, given the current prices, because you just can't move that much LoRa data over the airwaves to really generate a lot of rewards. So on the one hand, I think maybe IoT just isn't going to be economically relevant. On the other hand, it does seem Nova is willing to run the backend architecture indefinitely. So maybe we should think of IoT as more of a public good. And people who've been yelling we should kill IoT maybe could feel differently if IoT weren't taking up POC rewards. So it seems like we might actually be able to propose, let's just remove POC across the board for mobile and for IoT as well. And if we do that, it would greatly simplify everything. So that's something I've been thinking about. And then the other question is, what do we do with the overage if the price is higher than data transfer? And we do have extra tokens in the POC bucket. And also there's some more conversations, and I continue to lean towards giving that to staking and reworking the staking system. So I continue to think, first of all, we should try to simplify everything as much as possible. I have to beat out Mad Ninja, who wrote one HIP that eliminated 4 other HIPs, and I definitely hope to top that. So if we completely remove POC, that would greatly simplify lots of things and make it much easier to explain. And I'm not sure how I think about staking yet, but I've been having some interesting conversations about that, and I think we can probably propose something along those lines. So nothing right now concrete to propose, but I think we can say I am considering proposing removing POC for IoT too. So we'll see how we want to bring this discussion into the IOC working group as well, maybe. And there was some idea that we might even have a joint meeting of the two working groups. I'm not sure what the latest thinking is on that. But from that perspective, it might be interesting to discuss that in some sort of joint meeting. We'll see if that makes sense. But since we haven't written anything concrete yet, I think that can wait until there's something to look at. So maybe after the holidays, we might have a paper ready that we can circulate and then consider whether we want to discuss it in a larger circle here. But that's just where the current thinking is going. So me and a couple other people who have been discussing this. More to come, but that's all for now.
Okay. Sounds good. So we'll bring this back next month. Well, obviously we're going to bring it back because we haven't, come to any firm conclusions on what to propose yet. But it sounds like good progress. Anybody have questions for Chris?
I'm wondering is there any benefit of writing a competing HIP with Chris that says it goes to deployers rather than stakers, and then people can make their vote? Or do you think that might be too close of a vote and create a havoc between the two? Because I'm just wondering who should decide whether it goes to stakers or deployers. I'm game for either one. So deployers would be number one to me, but stakers number two, very close second choice.
Well, we had the process with HIP 80 and 81 where we ran both side by side.
And right, it turned out to be a clown show, kind of, didn't it?
Well, neither passed. For one thing, neither was really a very good proposal in hindsight, I think. But aside from that, really, since a proposal needs a 67% supermajority to pass, I'm not sure whether it makes sense at all to run competing proposals side by side. And if we find that, I think I'll write this thing up and we'll see how people like it. And if there's a different opinion, if you believe it's better to take the POC rewards and use them to reward deployers in some form rather than putting it to staking, I think what might make sense is to split the HIP. And then we could do one that says we will remove POC as soon as some decision has been made what to do with the rewards. And then we could have separate other proposals how the rewards, the reward bucket should be used. And that way we wouldn't have to put everything into one and run two competing proposals, because just removing the POC is something that has various moving parts. I think it would be probably wasteful to write two separate proposals that try to do that in two similar but separate ways. And so unless you want to take on figuring out exactly how that's going to work, we could use that part for the first stage in either case. And then if discussion shows there is a lot of interest in these additional deployer rewards in some form, then I think we should figure out a way to run a separate vote, either to decide between the two options or to decide whether or not we want to do anything at all, and then later decide which, or it's not clear to me how the vote should be structured, but I think there's some options. I wouldn't run two full proposals side by side. I don't think that's helpful.
Okay,
for what it's worth, Keith, I agree with that. I don't like the idea of voting on this or that. All of our votes are really this or do nothing, so.
Can we not have a three-part vote? No, yes, stakers, yes, deployers? I don't know if the voting for the elections is actually really just 5 separate things, or are we totally fine having multiple answers?
Well, independent of whether it's technically possible, then you would need to make sure that one of the options gets 67 supermajority. So I don't know if that's an unnecessarily hard barrier.
Yeah, I know. I
But
understand that. That's good. That's a good point.
So, quick question. Sorry, guys. I know I've been absent recently. Right now, Furby, you're going to write your hit proposing that the additional, that the POC now be diverted to the stakers.
well, that's what I've been discussing, and I think a lot of people seem to feel we don't really need POC rewards as such going forward. And what's new for me is that I think maybe we should address that to the IoT side as well and just completely eliminate all POC, which would be a big simplification, which I like. And a separate question is then what do we do with the overage when market conditions are such that we have any? And there, I've been lately thinking perhaps staking is a useful way to do that. And there's other people who've suggested that as well. And Keith has been a proponent of goosing the deployer rewards. And there's pros and cons to that, which we would probably want to discuss more thoroughly if we move forward in that direction. So those are two separate ways of using the POC bucket when there is one, differently from the actual POC rewards we currently have. And that would be the second half of a change. The first half would be just to decide that there is no more POC going to be paid out going forward. It's a two-stage process, and the second stage is where Keith and I have separate proposals, sort of, where mine is not actually fully formed yet. I'm not sure how fully formed Keith's is. We would be discussing this, I think, going forward when we see more clearly on the first stage.
Copy, gotcha.
I see in the comments people are not everybody is agreed, but I think we'll just discuss it until we can find a clear path.
Yeah, because I would say probably do a proposal. If it's two stages, probably have a proposal that's just dealing with the first stage by itself, and then a separate proposal about as to where the rewards would go to. Because tying two to one vote sometimes can be very tricky, because everybody may agree on the first stage as far as, putting an end to POC, but as far as now the second part, if everyone doesn't disagree there, then the whole thing goes away, which is the main point of, not needing to utilize a POC anymore. I have a question. For example, if we do a vote like that where we're just doing with stage one first, can those rewards be diverted somewhere until we have a clue what we want to do with it? It's like some kind of holding pool of sorts.
Well, we could do that. I mean, we had escrow in one of the earlier proposals, but another thing we could do is to say we're first of all going to vote on whether there are going to be any POC rewards paid out going forward. As long as the token price is low relative to data, there isn't anything in the POC bucket anyway, so nothing immediately happens. But the proposal could, well, I mean, let's see, how does it work? If we decide POC is going away in total, then one effect would be, for instance, that POC would also go away for IoT. And it could be that we would just have a bit more to pay to mobile data. On the other hand, we could also just write the proposal such that the proposal doesn't take effect until a provision has been passed how the POC bucket is to be used in total. So we don't need to decide that right now, but there's multiple options, and I think we'll just have further discussions on how to do this. And it could be that when we discuss this more, we find that actually we all don't like the staking, or we all don't like the overage to deployers. So we might all agree that there's one direction we want to move, and if nobody objects to that, then we can just bring that to a vote. So I think it's too early to say, but we have definitely multiple options to do this in a reasonable way, I think.
Yeah, and I would just say to you, I would like you to reconsider. I know we'll deal with it down the road, but can reconsider your perspective. Something I was looking at the other day, just looking at um, what my company personally is doing now as far as like data transfer wise, and I know a couple of the other guys who are doing even more numbers, and I know guys that are doing smaller numbers. It's probably there's a good amount of us that actually do make up. I know we have a merit band in that, but we make up a good amount of the data that actually does get transferred on the network. So when people say that is the people's network, the deployers really still do make a difference. Because there was some hemming and hawing going on before, and where it seemed like it was just like the bigger MSPs and stuff that were uh, that really mattered. But no, the deployers really do. And when you look at the way that the market performs when we're out there to secure these bigger deals, which does a lot of good for the network and the investors and the stakers and everything on the whole, right? Because it puts the Helium Mobile network out there on the map in a larger way. We're dealing with the sliding markets and stuff like that that's going on, which, it's a part of it. But also, too, we know that there's some headwinds that are coming up when it comes to the pricing per gigabyte and stuff like that that we're even receiving now, with the anticipation of more data offload. So I think if anybody should get rewarded, it's the people that are really building the network. So just keep that into your consideration, with the understanding of some of the headwinds that are coming up for deployers, and what the deployers mean to the network and stuff like that.
Well, I think on the one hand, we certainly want to pay deployers, if possible, at the nominal rate what the data is supposed to be worth. And that's a separate discussion. On the other hand, the price of the token is something that fluctuates independently. So on the one hand, the token price might be very low, then there's just not a lot to go around. On the other hand, if the token price is much higher, do we need to pay deployers much more than some reasonable market-based price per gigabyte? I think that's a valid question. And Keith's idea is that, yes, we should pay them much more if it comes to that, just to incentivize additional deployments. And that's certainly a valid point of view. But another side you want to look at is it useful to pay tokens to deployers above what they actually need as an incentive to do the work? Because if you pay them a whole lot of tokens, there's an incentive to sell the tokens, which puts sell pressure on the market. Whereas if you pay the tokens to stakers who have been holding tokens from some sort of a yield perspective, perhaps they might be less likely to sell the tokens. And yet another thing you could do is we could actually burn tokens that are beyond what is needed to reward deployers for data. And there too, you would be avoiding a certain amount of sell pressure. So the one side we need to look at is give rewards to deployers. And just as an extreme example, yes, we could even change the emission schedule and suddenly emit 10 times as much HNT as we're currently emitting. Then all deployers would get 10 times as many tokens. On the other hand, then what would happen? They would probably go sell them. This would probably depress the price. So the end result might not actually be any better, except the price of HNT has gone down. And what good did that do? So from that point of view, I think we just need to be careful where we put the tokens we have. And currently, I think most of us believe we shouldn't change the actual emission schedule. And we just have a fixed number of tokens every month. where should we put them so they give proper incentives but don't necessarily lead to excess sell pressure. So those are the two things you need to balance, and I don't know what the right answer is yet, but it's something to consider. And just giving all the tokens to the deployers and giving them even more tokens, or as many tokens as possible, or what our reward escrow was going to propose, keep tokens around so when the price goes down you can give them more, so put more downward pressure on the price. That may not be the right answer either, which is why we're still thinking about it.
And I'm not really even sure that the issue is whether the problem or the issue are the current deployers or the incremental emissions that are occurring, because they're relatively small relative to the circulating supply and the trading volume of HNT. I think where staking might help is bringing in, other participants, or giving other ways for people to participate, because probably price is potentially more impacted by token holders than the incremental deployer at this point, given where we are in the emissions curve.
That may be true. I think we don't know. There's a certain level of trading volume we can see on CoinMarketCap or whatever, but on the other hand, we don't actually know how much of that is real volume and how much of that is maybe wash trading. We did see, for instance, there was the one VC who was trying to exit their position, and they sold their tokens over a considerable period of time. And they may not have been selling more than like 10,000 a day or something, which compared to the volume reported is not very much, but it did seem to depress the price considerably. So it is quite hard for us to tell how does a certain volume of selling affect the price or not. It's true, what one problem we have is there's just not a bunch of new buyers. And as you say, maybe if we change the staking system, we can attract new buyers. That's definitely one thing this is going to be targeted at.
All right. Anybody have anything else they want to add?
Hey, Chris, I think during the holidays, you and I should probably just get on one of these Discord huddle and hammer this out between us.
Yeah, sure. I'm game anytime.
Keith, is that your way of saying you haven't written the HIP yet?
Zing.
I'm not even going to respond, Jay. Matt Ninja, what do you think? Do you like either one over the other?
Yeah. I'd say we should get into a separate channel and like try to have something out there that we can write up. I don't have a strong preference right now. I see in general there's some discussion around like POC, which means like which CDRs, which are sort of mentioned at least on the mobile side, which is would have impacts there. So, those are all like technically they're all solvable. I think with no like crazy impact. As I think Glockhawk mentioned, there's like we had a discussion last week about data price and what we do there. I think we're going to try to address that at the beginning or sort of early next year. Try to figure out what we do. As was mentioned, as I think as Boris mentioned last year, like there's two parts to this, which in IoT is not really possible, but like on the mobile side, we can actually separate. We can actually disconnect the price that the network pays per gigabyte, right? Because there's only so much minted for data rewards versus what Nova or Helium or the carriers pay per gigabyte as it's consumed. And those two are out of whack right now. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does hurt, right? And so trying to figure out like what the right approach there would be something that I think we need to address.
Okay. Anybody? Anything else on this UBI slash POC discussion? I look forward to the rest of you having active conversations over the next 2-3 weeks. I will not be participating in them, but I look forward to talking with y'all once we get back in the new year. Okay, if there's nothing else, Keith, I know you said you had to leave early and didn't really have questions for the fireside chat, but I don't have anything else on the agenda. Any questions off the top of your head?
Nope. I'm all sprung out.
Okay.
I didn't need to hurry. I just didn't want to drag it out for Mad Ninja.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Oh, we're not going to let you off the hook that easy, though, Matt Ninja.
Bring it. No.
Since this, I haven't seen this come up in the chat, but since it's our last meeting of the year, I think it's worth asking, and last meeting of the quarter. Any news on Mexico, or resetting? Any way we can reset expectations?
We'll get Mario to say something more publicly or formally about it. There's changes happening there. It's all technical basically, and just the iterations of their secure endpoints, RATSEC, their tunnels. It's this evolving battle between various IT groups, and so what was working last week is now getting changed, and so it's not working anymore. Kind of thing. It's just endless. I try not to drop F-bombs, but it's frustrating. As far as timing goes, I'll have Mario actually try to say something more publicly around when that happens.
Sounds good.
Given the day to day, it seems like it would be a very rough landing if we try to make it land before Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, and that's a good reminder. I mentioned this last week, but for anybody reaching out to work on a Helium Plus deployment or bulk hotspot purchase, anything along those lines, the Nova team is out of the office. I don't remember when they come back, but it won't be until the new year. So, if you are trying to get anything done with those teams, either of those teams, I guess the sales team, BD team, get it done in the next day or two, because they are mostly shutting up shop and leaving the office for a week or two.
Yeah, our last submissions for carrier offload were already prepared, but we're trying to get as many in as we can. There will be no carrier submissions happening over that break either. Not just us, but also many of the carriers. The carriers are also on a sort of slow down / freeze period. So we'll sort of basically everybody take a break. We've done a lot this year. Take some time, decompress.
Yeah. Well earned. I don't have anything else.
There's one thing we can. Yeah, sure. There's one thing we could ask about. I don't know, Mad Ninja, how much you're in on this, but the new Mambo Wi-Fi announcement in Brazil. I think we understand there's been an agreement with Mambo Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi provider in Brazil, with 40,000 active hotspots, prosumer hotspots. Mario's posted a bit about this on Twitter, more than we heard previously. And my understanding is Mambo currently runs portal Wi-Fi for various people. They have these hotspots. They're interested in working with Helium. And I believe Mario posted that there are tests going on with multiple MVNOs and MNOs in Brazil who have 55 million subscribers total, who are evaluating the tech and might be interested at some point in bringing Helium on for their offload. So did I get that right, or is there anything else you can add to explain what's going on?
Nope, I think that's a great capture. That's effectively what's happening, right? Today, Mambo is doing mostly captive portal, and like the announcement essentially makes them like we're gonna enable them to do carrier offload, and there's a bunch of active trials going on with carriers to evaluate whether that's useful to them or not.
All right, well, sounds great. Let's go.
Let's go. I'm very excited about this. Mario is like, I know Mario's extremely bullish, but even as a Dutchman, he's usually pretty cynical about everything. It looks promising.
You're smiling. Look at that.
Yeah, I'm grimacing. Fine.
Very similar expressions if you're Dutch, especially.
True. There's really no difference.
Chris, anything else you wanted to ask before we take off for the foreseeable future?
Well, is the future bright?
No one's willing to get on the record for that, Chris.
I mean, the sun's going to come up tomorrow. I can guarantee it.
That's what I
It
want
won't
to
be
hear.
dark. That's right.
I mean, my answer is I think the future is bright as long as we all keep building, all keep doing what we're doing, right? We've got this great product. And the carriers love it. We need to get more coverage so so they use it more and more. Future is super bright, I think. I'm working on some mall deals. I mean, Omar has airports. Keith has sports facilities. Jay Hella has virtually everything. I mean, I think the future is super bright.
Deploy.
Let's go.
Just want to make sure that people, let's go. Let's deploy. Make sure that when you deploy places, that the owner of the place actually knows about it, and don't.
Oh, that's a
just
good point.
Stuff something in a black closet. Yeah.
Okay, so one quick fireside chat, then
Is
Ginger.
that happening?
I knew he was gonna trigger on it.
Make it back. You would never do anything like that, right?
No, but there's some individuals out here, so I was wondering. But anyway.
Hey, Mad Ninja, in a sentence, where should we deploy our hotspots?
Oh my God.
Come on, you guys gave me an opportunity like 10 times for this.
Wow, you backed out already. You can't do it again. As always, big busy places, malls, barbershops, gyms,
Slow-moving people.
public areas of hotels, like lots of places with lots of slow moving people. Don't put it on a highway.
People ordering on their phone.
That's right.
After
HMT
Breakport, after Breakport, I can report that the departure lounge, Frankfurt Airport Terminal 2 may not be ideal because Deutsche Telekom has 500 megabit down and 200 megabit up on their 5G. But there's lots of other areas in Frankfurt Airport that definitely could use it. So let's get those German deals running, and let's find somebody who knows how Frankfurt Airport works, which I'm sure is very complicated.
Sorry, I don't remember, but who won the election? Who was the top vote getter, Jay, in the most recent election? Was it Jay?
No, it was Aiden from Meshley.
Okay, and he's not here today? I don't see him on the line, right? Okay.
He is not. Now that you ask the question, I'm not sure if he has the link or not. So, we'll need to make sure we sort all of that out with Waveform in the new year.
Okay.
Omar, as much as we appreciate your time and service to the working group, you did not win re-election. So just, thanks, but thanks,
Yes.
but we have a new class of folks.
New sheriffs in town.
We have Omar, Max, and somebody else did not return to the working group. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head.
All right, so I'll take Aiden's role for today and thank everybody for their time. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Mad Ninja, for coming every week. I very much appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for their volunteering of this program. Or the group is Nova leads this thing to where it needs to go. Thank you. And thank you to everybody who participates and listens and chats and all that stuff. And happy holidays.
Happy holidays to all.
Happy holidays. We'll see everybody on January 8th.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Happy holidays.